Hi,
Hey.
to figure that out.
Oh, sweet. Awesome. Oh, we have a bunch of people join now. This is cool.
Great.
Okay. I'm gonna just pull up my notes and jump right into it. Um, oh my gosh, thank you so much for doing this live with me. I think it was just like last month where I did like a top female photographer roundups and you're one of them. So I'm like, oh, this is so cool.
Great to,
Um, sorry?
so that's great to hear.
Oh, you're so talented, so this is awesome. Okay, so let's just jump right into it because we have a ton of questions, and I have questions, and I just want to like hear about your background. So you're originally born in Toronto, or?
Yeah, I'm from Toronto, and that's where I went to school and started my career there. Actually, I never thought I would leave because I love it there so much, but you never know. Now I like it in Texas, so that's where I'm at now in Dallas.
Yeah, and when you went to well, when you were first starting out, you were already into photography, right? You did it a bit in high school with like the dark rooms and everything.
Yeah, I started in high school and started to go to night classes in college, like college night classes while I was in high school, because I knew I wanted to do photography. And so then once I graduated, I just went full time photography program. And yeah, so it's pretty much all I've ever really done. But I think it took a while to figure out what I wanted to, specialize in. And that came after, years of being a photo assistant and working with all different types of photographers. And then I just kind of came naturally when I started doing more interiors and architectural work, and I realized that that's really where my passion lies. So
Hmm. So I wrote this down that initially you were inspired by Joseph Karsh.
where did you
That what made you? Sorry?
where did you find that info? That sounds like an article I wrote in my 20s or something. But yeah, I think it is. Yeah, I think that in high school I found a Joseph Karsh book that I loved, and I was really loved his lighting, which was just beautiful. And he had his, instead of having your own retoucher, he had his dark room, like a guy who did all of his developing in the dark room. So together they had a really good technique. And as you can, like, if you ever looked at the Joseph Karsh's work, it's just really, really beautiful. So I think no matter what type of photography that you're into, I think there's just a lot of techniques and things to take away from his work that can relate
Yeah,
to a lot of stuff. Yeah.
that's so cool. Was there a specific interiors photographer that made you want to get into it, or?
No, not at all. I mean, I worked with several. I mean, when I started as a photo assistant, there wasn't like there's Instagram, but it's not like what it was, now where I'm inspired and you look at other people's work and stuff like that. So it wasn't really the same thing about discovering photographers. I mean, there were for fashion photographers that I would know, but for interior photographers, it was just working with Toronto and American photographers as photo assistants. And yeah, just kind of picking up techniques from them. That's kind of where it all came from. Yeah.
Hmm. And you went to Hubbard College for creative photography. Do you think, like, looking back, it really helped you? Like, do you recommend people going to school for that?
Um, I guess it all depends. For me, I did it. I needed more time to grow. I don't think as an 18-year-old I would have been ready. When I was in high school, I worked at a wedding photography studio, and it was all film. And I learned a lot, but I didn't know who I was or what type of work I wanted to do at that age. That's for me. Other people might be different. But I think going to school really helped. I also did well in school. And then after I graduated, I went to go work at a rental house. It was like, at the time, it was probably the largest rental house in Canada. And so
Oh,
I just play with photo equipment all day long, testing the equipment and when I would come back from photo shoots. So it was kind of, that made me even more comfortable. So it was like another education. So then when I was ready to start assisting, that was another education. So for me, it just kind of, was maybe a slower path than someone who's just out of high school and it's like, oh, I want to shoot. But I guess the whole time, I guess I was shooting because doing the wedding photography when I was in high school, I continued doing that while I was in college because it paid for my schooling. So,
oh, nice.
you make a lot of money doing weddings. So,
Yeah. Was it difficult to land your first interior or architecture jobs?
I'm trying to think. I mean, it was a long time ago. I remember that. I remember that I was at my aunt's cottage and I took some pictures there, and then I realized that I like interiors of her kitchen that she had just remodeled, and I realized like I really like the pictures turned out really well, and I was like, okay, maybe this is like my thing. And so I took some more pictures, but I needed a bigger portfolio. So I emailed some people at Niagara-on-the-Lake, a bunch of different hotels, and there was a hotel chain that, they were going to pay. I offered to do some pictures so that I can actually get something decent in my portfolio that's not just my relatives' houses, And so this was probably, I'm trying to think of how old I was, but it was a long time ago. So anyway, they said yes, and they put me up in the hotel. They gave me dinner every night, and they paid me a bit. And so I started my portfolio that way. But I just kind of, I was going on a trip to Montreal, and the hotel that I was staying at, I wrote to them and I said, can I take some pictures at your hotel? And they said, sure. And, then they gave me a night free. And, it just, that was the only way that I could really start to do it. And then I started to promote my work to like architectural studios and interior designers, magazines. But I needed to start somewhere. And so I just kind of looked for things, like look for locations that I personally liked, and try to explore how I could photograph them. So.
Yeah, that's a really, really smart idea. Could you elaborate more on how you were reaching out to these interior and architecture firms initially?
Just email.
Hmm.
I used to do like email blasts, which people still do. In Canada, I don't know what the laws are right now, but you were able to send emailers out, but then there became a law where you had to be, they would have to be on your list for you. You just couldn't like send out unsolicited emails. So what I just started doing was just writing to people, just like not an email promo with imagery. I just would write to them and say how I was interested in their work, what I liked about their work, and then say, here's a link to my work if you want to ever work together or just have a meeting. And that actually, it helped. It worked a few times, and for magazines as well. I was able to then just by like a personal email, not like a promo or anything like that, just a personal email, and then I was able to set up some meetings. It didn't work all the time, but sometimes it did, and you just have to.
Mm. Outside of that, did you do other types of promotion? Like, was this, how long ago was this? Were you using social or not really?
No. This was a long time ago. Yeah.
But Facebook is about 15 years now, right?
I don't even remember when that was, but I mean, even I might have done that even like 6 years ago. That I might have done that, but I'm just trying to think what I did. I did send emailers out and promo cards, like actual print cards. I created these little books that I had a friend of mine designed these little notebooks that were really cool actually, and we sent those out. So just like actual physical promos that we sent out, and then just emailing. I also went to design shows and meet up and coming designers, because like IDS is in Toronto, so it's the interior design show, and they'll have really big companies like IKEA and stuff like that. And it's very like innovative, the booths that they create. It's really fun. But then there's also a section that has new designers. So I just go around and collect cards. I pay for the party night where you get to go, and it's more like it's the first night where you can mingle with people. And I would just meet people and get their cards and then send emails to them after saying, you know, if you ever want to work together, here's my website and stuff like that. I really liked your work at your show. I just looked for avenues like that to try to make connections. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. Out of the like physical and in person and the emails, what would you say was the most effective?
Meeting in person. Yeah. If I
Mm,
met someone in person, yeah, that would probably be the best, but it doesn't always happen. And I mean, these days everything seems so much more online, and I'm also not in the same position where I'm going to parties and events as much as maybe I used to. So nowadays, now it's different because I have an agent. So that's like a whole other thing. Everything that I was saying was like before my agent. And before I had an agent, I did for a couple of years have kind of like a studio manager. And so she did a lot of my promotions and things like that to try to stay on top of it.
yeah. How long were you shooting for before you got an agent?
Um, oh God, I'm trying to think of date. Like
I'm so specific. Oops.
once I moved to Dallas. And then I went freelance in Dallas, and you know, I saw this agency, Sister Brother, and yeah, it was like we met, and we were just like a right fit, and right away I was busy with work with them, and it was great. I mean, I was new to Texas. I didn't know anyone. No one knew me. It was kind of great to have a rep that knows lots of people and can connect me. And also just doing all of the promotion and invoicing and stuff that I don't want to do. Like, I'm the type of photographer that I just want to shoot, you know, and then
Mhm.
edit that part, do the creative work. I don't want to worry too much about, oh, this person hasn't paid yet, or that type of stuff. So I know having an agent is not for everyone, but if you're the type of person like me, then that might be a good option to stay on top of all that stuff. Yeah.
Was it always a goal for you to have an agent?
No, I mean, in Toronto, it was not a thing for an interior architecture photographer to have an agent. Um, all the photographers that I knew in Toronto that had agents, I mean, things could totally be different now, but it was a lot of food photographers and a lot more, if you're doing a lot more commercial advertising work, then, you know, you might have an agent. But I still knew a lot of photographers that just represented themselves. So, yeah.
How did you realize that did you have like other photographer friends who were also signed that you realize it's a good idea to?
No, no. I just saw. I don't know. I think I saw something online about Sister Brother, and yeah, I'm just trying to think of how I connected with them. And I just really just emailed them. I wanted to get more information, and then meeting with them, it seemed like the right fit. And yeah, I handle the paperwork stuff and the promotion. So that's why I'd hired a studio manager, producer slash producer to do that type of work. So then I started again freelance in Dallas. I knew either I was going to need to hire someone like that or go with an agent. I just knew that that wasn't the work that I wanted to do.
hmm Was it exactly how you thought it would be to have an agent, or are there anything surprising that you realize now being signed?
No, nothing surprising. But I mean, as a photographer, I guess it depends if you're a photographer that's like a photo team, or if you're just on your own as a freelance photographer. It's kind of lonely, you know. It's just you you do the photo shoot and maybe you have a crew then, but then you go back to your office and it's just you working on it. Maybe you have a retoucher that comes in. A lot of that stuff happens remote, you know, pre-COVID. So having an agency where there's other photographers and sometimes, you know, we might have a happy hour, or just knowing that you're kind of part of like a bigger team. So that feels kind of nice. It's a family. So I do like that aspect, which I didn't have if it was just me. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Early on, did you have any mentors, or how did you even learn about like licensing stuff outside of like the actual shooting, like the business side?
Yeah, all of that was really from being a photo assistant for some photographers. Like I was in their studio like every day. We might have like a month-long shoot, and then I'd be doing the retouching. And sometimes, I'll be honest, like a lot of photographers, like they don't tell you all the business stuff, and they hold it close. But if you work for a photographer for a while, you will know the business stuff. Especially if you start doing more of their studio work, then maybe you're doing some of their emails and they'll be more open. If you're just working for a photographer here and there, freelance assisting, you know, they're probably not going to be explaining all that stuff. I was never an intern, but I've had interns. Like I've had interns from Humber College where I went to school. So people from that school would then intern with me. And so I try to show them some of that part of the business. Also in school, we had a course that was all about that.
Oh, wow.
Knowing like how there's like the calculations of how much you're worth for your day rate, you know, none of that stuff applies now, but you know, licensing, things like that were touched upon. To make sure like you get a better gauge, you know, like, oh, you spend this much money every year on equipment, you should, you know, there's some type of calculation that
yeah. Actually, touching on that, how is your idea of pricing like changed over time? Like, has it, not saying like the specific numbers, but the way you think about it, have you changed the way you think about it, like per photo or day rate or something, of course?
Yeah, I think it depends on, again, like what you're doing and how you run your business. But I do day rate, and then there's a retouching fee. That works for me. Also works for me because sometimes I just get excited at a shoot, and you might have like I don't know, 15 shots planned out, but then I'll see some like amazing light and I'll be like, oh my God, can we just drop this here and let's just shoot it? So really that's an extra shot and that I want to shoot. So like if it's per setup, because I know some photographers I think might charge per setup. I don't want to have that discussion, like, do we want to add this on? I just want to shoot it, you know, and then if they want to purchase the retouching for it after, that's fine, you know. So that's kind of how I work, but there's a lot of different ways. I think, who is it? I think it's Mike Kelly. He had a really good article that he wrote about the different pricing that you can do. And I think that was a really good example because people do not talk about pricing. And if you're new, you just don't know what to do, you know? But there's, for different clients, there's all different ways that you can do things. So I think everyone is pretty flexible. Like if you have a client that wants a flat rate, but they're doing 20 shoots, you know, that might not be a bad thing. You know, it all depends on your negotiations. So.
And what made you move to Dallas?
Oh, I saw a job posting. I came for a full-time job.
Wow.
Called Leloy, so it was a photography position, and so I did that for almost a year, but I just realized that I wanted to go back to freelance. But then it was like, okay, do I go back to Toronto or do I stay in Texas? But yeah, I decided, you know, a lot of my clients before I took that job were in the US already. So, and you know, it's nice weather in Texas. So I don't know anymore, but Yeah, I decided to stay here, and having like meeting with the agent and picking up new clients pretty quickly was like it was also part of the reason why I stayed.
How would you describe the interior and architecture scene in Dallas?
It's pretty good. I mean, people always talk about Austin, and Austin does have beautiful homes and architecture. And Dallas, I think it's growing. There's a lot of really amazing interior designers, but there's also like it depends on what style you're looking at. There's a lot of really great Southern designers here, but then there's also like some great architects like Nemo Architecture. I don't know if you've ever checked out their stuff. I just posted something today.
Oh,
Um,
it's so good, by the way. I just have to let you know.
oh, sorry, I missed what you said.
Oh no, I was just saying it was so good, by the way, the post you did today.
So yeah, Nemo, Joshua and Nemo, they're a great firm, really talented. So yeah, Texas, like in general, has amazing designers and architecture and amazing architectural photographers too. There's just a lot of talent. Yeah, a lot of great space here.
Well, what percent of jobs would you say you're traveling out of state for?
Oh, or out of state.
Or I guess out of Dallas. Yeah, Texas is so big.
Lot. It's a lot. So this year has obviously been different, you know.
Mhm.
But I would say at least 50% is or
Oh,
more.
wow.
Yeah, but Texas, usually I'll drive around Texas, you know, and then I'll fly. So I might do a job in Houston or Austin. Honestly, like last week I was in Austin for the whole week. So this is now like I'm feeling a little bit more like it's pre-COVID time. Um,
Mhm.
I was shooting in Austin for the whole week, and the week before I was in Arizona. So that one I did fly out for. That
Oh,
was my
nice.
flight of this year, which is crazy.
Oh my gosh.
Well, because I had a baby at the beginning of the year,
Oh yeah. Congrats.
I came back to work for 2 weeks, and then there was a lockdown. So
Yeah.
yeah, so that was my first flight this year, and so that would be typical for me to be traveling. So far, like this month, I do have some shoots in Dallas this month, but a lot of my work is out of town for sure.
Awesome. So I have a bunch of questions from Shifter. I'm just gonna dive into it. So we have one from Andy Ryan. He asked, whose work, oh, I guess you kind of answered this, but you can change it a bit. Who are your like that influenced you and like who to watch basically, I guess. People who influence you now and who's on the come up or something.
Oh, okay. I'd say who's on the come up? Maybe Sergio Lopez. He's super nice.
Hmm.
He's been putting out a lot of new work. He
He has
posts,
questions too.
yeah, great guy. So I definitely like watch out for him. And whose work that I really like. God, there's just so many photographers. So
Yeah.
like just saying in Texas, there's Peter Molick or Molick. I'm probably going to pronounce people's names wrong. And then, well, Andy McPherson and who else am I thinking of? Oh, sorry, Andy is not in Texas. I forgot that I was talking about Texas people. So there's Peter, and then Chase Daniel is really great. Sergio posting the hearts there. Chase Daniel, I should check out his work. He's really good, and Peter's. And I'm always searching to see like other female photographers too, 'cause, like there's a lot of male architecture photographers.
Yeah.
But I think who else in Texas? There's Molly. I think maybe it's Molly Culver. I think she's in Austin, and
Mhm.
so her work. I think she'd be up and coming as well. So you might see her name a little bit more. Another female photographer, like not in Texas, would be Kat Alves. If you know
Mhm.
her work, yeah. Oh, Sergio.
How about, oh yeah. How about your, Like, do you have any like favorites of all time or people that you've looked up to for years?
No, I mean, there's just so many.
Yeah.
But I'm also not, I don't know. There's just, especially with social media and Instagram, you're just seeing like so much work all the time that, yeah.
Turn on the lights.
I
It's
know.
an intermission. Okay, cool. It was getting a bit dark. Okay, so I have another question. I have a question from Sergio. He asked, this is probably hard to come up with on the spot, but if you can think of any 3 worst mistakes.
3 worst mistakes.
Yeah.
Let me see. There's definitely been times when I probably, you know, deleted files by accident.
Oh my gosh. I literally got stressed by you saying that.
Sometimes I do really like. If it's, I remember the one I'm thinking of. It was Big Shoot. It wasn't. There was some architecture to it, but it was a lot of people stuff, and we were shooting to card, and we were like going, and definitely like overwrote a card. But I was able to recover the pictures. That's one that like sticks with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because yeah, you have a heart attack. So that one I could think on the spot. Other mistakes, maybe like undervaluing myself or being just like, okay, yeah, I'll do this. Okay, yeah, you know, which I'm very much like a yes person. Someone will ask me for something, like, yeah, sure, I'll shoot that, or yeah, I'll do this. So that's also why I'm a perfect candidate to have an agent because well, that stuff, because I'll be like, oh yeah, I can do that. You know, I just want to all the time and want to do everything and make people happy. So it's great to be separate that way. But yeah, that's all I can think of right now.
Yeah. So I have another question from Sergio. He has like 3, but they're all so good. Okay. So 3 best achievements as a photographer.
3 best achievements?
Yeah. Or if you can just think of one, maybe one job that you're super proud of.
Oh my God, there's too many. I mean, I'm just so happy with so many projects over the years.
Let me help you then. How about, can you talk about the Campari Toronto headquarters?
Really cool, and that's been published a lot.
Yeah.
So the designers Emile from Ivy in Toronto, and I knew Emile like for a long time. We just always like hung out in the same circles, and I think then one day we just both realized that, oh, you do architecture photography, and he does architecture design. So you know, we started working together on some shoots, and we like he does a lot of really cool projects, and that one came up, and I mean, whenever I work with Emile, it just kind of just goes really well, and his work is just easy to photograph and beautiful. So that shoot actually, the building, it used to be a film studio called Pie in the Sky, that studio, and they changed it into the Campari offices, and the whole ceiling was all skylights. Like it's just a huge massive skylight. So that really helped with my shoot. You know, it was an overcast day, and then like everything just was glowing. So yeah, that was great. And then I liked the night shots that we did as well, because
Yeah, they're so good.
yeah, it was really cool. So yeah, and that went in some cool books. I really like the I've done 3 wallpaper city guides. And I mean, I've always loved wallpaper city guides, and those shoots are really hard. I'll do like 40 locations in 7 days, and I'm just, they close down the location. If it's a restaurant or whatever, they'll close down for 2 hours, maybe an hour and a half, and I just shoot really fast, go on to the next one. Like totally not what I typically do, where I'm normally with an assistant, and I'm like really, you know, taking the time to make everything perfect. Here it's like me by myself, and I jump in. But doing those kind of really, it's just a really great exercise for me to know that yes, I could like do it this way as well. Like not, I don't know how to explain it, but that I still have the ability to put in long hours and carry all the gear and, you know, sweat and get it all done on my own and get great images in like an hour. So yeah,
that's
it's just
so cool. Okay, so I have another question here from Sergio. Can you elaborate on dealing with motherhood while keeping a profitable business?
it's hard. Um, yeah, it's a good, I'm very lucky that I have a really supportive husband. So, I mean, last week I was gone all week, and the week before I was also gone out of town all week. So I only saw my son on the weekend, which is really hard. And
Yeah.
normally I'm always traveling. And I knew when I was doing that and pregnant that it was going to be hard for when I actually had the child. And I knew that, you know, I was going to have to make some adjustments. But so far, I guess it's just hard to explain because we had COVID this year and there was a lockdown for so long. Um, you know, we have childcare and we've just had to make life adjustments. And actually, okay, actually, what I can say is that before I used to work all the time. I would shoot, I send some stuff to retouchers, but then I also do more retouching and I'd be shooting during the day, working at night, and working all weekend. Like every weekend I worked. And now I can't do that. I need family time. So I'm definitely sending more stuff to retouchers. I'm hiring a lot more people, which I also feel good about because of how much people struggled this year, that I'd rather spread the work around if I can. But also just like I'm willing to, you know, like make less money, first of all, because I'm not doing the retouching myself. But having that more time with my family and spending the time with retouchers to get that look. I think that was kind of also why it was hard for me to send all my work out, was because, you know, you might have your own personal style and it's hard to get retouchers. Then I end up doing more work after, you know, trying to make it look like how I want it to look. I think I'm just spending more time trying to get into that flow and, you know, trusting someone else. It's kind of like when you take a photo, you kind of feel connected to it and you don't, it's like hard to be like, okay, here's all the raw files and you do your thing, you know? So yeah, I think that's been a big growth, is just adding more people to my team and letting go a little bit so that I have family time at night. I can't be working all the time anymore.
Yeah, actually, this retoucher topic is really interesting as we talked about it. I mean, like on Shifter, there's a lot of stories about it, and people are curious. How did you find your retouchers?
I've had one girl I worked with for a long time, like many years. Usually she'll kind of put my merges together and, you know, I'd send her notes, she'd merge and clean up dust and stuff, and then I would do my own retouching on top. So she would do like a basic edit, and I just found her on Upwork.com, and
Hmm.
yeah, so that was always kind of easy. And now recently I found, I just, because I knew I had a bunch of big shoots coming up that they were going to overlap, and again, life changes. So I really just started looking a lot online to find someone that could do the whole image, you know? So I recently just started working with Scott Ruddock. I think someone listed him on the Instagram feed before. So yeah, so I'm just, you know, meeting different retouchers and yeah, so I'm seeing some of the questions.
Yeah, let's answer. Let me see. I think this. Yeah, most are just statements. So yeah, maybe the last one. How many people are on your team? Retoucher, suitor, manager, agent, assistant.
Yeah, so sometimes I have 2 to 3 retouchers depending on how much work I have going on. And some of them might be doing the whole image and some of them might be just doing like cleanups. Sometimes I'll merge. Sometimes it's just faster for me to merge my layers together and then they just clean up, like take out wires or just clean up floors or whatever needs to be done, because that might be faster than me writing notes and explaining like step by step, or like this is for this and that's for that. And then I have one main assistant that I use a lot. Tahana, it's her name, and she's in Austin. So that goes back to like what you were saying about how much work do you do in Dallas. I mean, my main assistant is not even in Dallas, so we travel a lot. So that's why it's easy to just hire someone that I really like as part of my team. But I have a bunch of other assistants that I work with a lot too. So my shoot last week, I had a digital tech and my first assistant, Tahana. So it was Robert was digital tech, and he also came with a grip truck, so that was awesome. So yeah, so that's usually my team. But on a regular day, if it's not a commercial shoot, like maybe an editorial shoot or something smaller, I'll just have one assistant. And yeah, and then, but the retouchers, yeah, there's just a few that I have right now. But it's all remote. I don't have any, well, of course, right now too, but in general, it's usually remote. Yeah.
Yeah. How long would you say it took them to understand your style? Because you have such a specific style. And I feel like a lot of photographers are hesitant because the retouchers don't like really get their look.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still working on it.
Oh, you're still working on it. But let me just check another question. Okay, so we have one from Art Sanchez. He asked, could you talk a bit about the bigger commercial shoots that you do? Oops. Oh wait, I can't hear you. I think it's, sorry. Oh, so can you repeat that? Sorry, I think it, oh, I can't hear you. Wait, people who are watching, can you hear? Is it just me? Uh, Wait, Zeph, are you able to hear or is it just me? I don't know why it's like this. Okay. Yeah. Oh. Okay, I'll just have her join again. Okay, cool. Thought it was just me for a sec. I was like, ah. Okay. Okay, I'm just gonna message her. If you guys have any more questions, you can, I didn't realize there's this comment, this like question function. So there's some from Sergio, which I'm gonna ask. And if you guys have any more questions, it's the time. Okay, we have like 10. Oh, Lisa. Are you able to? Okay, let's go. Round 2.
Hi. Sorry, I don't know. Call and then just
Yes. Oh, okay, that's why.
do you see me?
I think it's still loading. It took a few seconds last time.
Okay. Hold on. Now?
Not yet. Do you guys see Lisa? Or is it just me? Wait, can someone comment? Is it just me? I don't know why it's taking so long. Okay. Wait, so you guys can see Lisa? Oh, I can't. Why can't I? No, no, guys, it's just me. Wait, sorry.
Can you see me now? Can
I don't know why, but I can't. I know everyone can.
you hear me? It's
I
weird.
can I can hear you, but I just see the comments and everyone sees it except for me.
Yeah, it's you. Um, that's so odd. She's back, so I'm back. But
Okay, well, I'll just pretend that I see you because I can. Okay, if every. Oh, okay, cool. I see you now. I was just gonna talk to myself for the remainder, but it's good. I can see you now.
okay.
Um, so sorry, did you catch Art's question just now? Okay, so Art asked, could you talk a bit about the bigger commercial shoots that you do?
Oh, well, a lot of the commercial shoots that I do still design based. So it might be like a furniture company. A lot of it is home decor and furniture companies. Some of it might be, I guess sometimes I'll have maybe like a hotel shoot and stuff, but usually the furniture stuff is more commercial and more advertisement. So that those would be larger selling the products. But you know, we're still what we'll do is rent like beautiful locations. So there's still like an emphasis on the architecture and then the design of the furniture and how we'll set up room scenes. Or the shoot last week, it was all outdoor furniture. So you know, we found some really great locations. There's a location scout that goes out and finds locations for the client to choose from. And then, so for example, last week, Monday, I went out to all the locations so that I could see the time of day that I want to shoot each product, so we can kind of lay it out a little bit more specifically. So then when the shoot day actually happens, you know, I know, okay, we need to be here at this time in the morning because we want to get the sunrise over here for this furniture collection, and then the next collection we're going to do over here. Most of the time we're like doing nothing in the middle of the day, kind of planning for the next shot because everything is like sunrise and then sunset. And then maybe some more like less important collections might go in the middle of the day. And so that will be different because there might be an ad agency, a creative director, then also a client, or several people from the clients might come. And so that'll just be a bigger production. We'll have a separate screen for them to look at, so we're not all huddled around the camera or the laptop. And yeah, so yeah, I'm trying to think of what else. It's just a little bit just more commercial in the sense that some of these pictures might be in advertisements. And then we'll definitely have a stylist on those shoots for sure. Yeah.
So going off that question, I have another one from Gustav. He asked, do you have a specific workflow you follow when you're doing a shoot?
I don't know how specifically I want to know, but usually I get to a space, I meet with my client, and I'll do a walk around, and if I haven't been to the place before, so that I could see the space. First thing is to decide where I'm going to put all my equipment so that it's not in the way. So I'll walk through with my assistant and we'll be like, this is the good spot. And then, you know, my assistant will start loading all the equipment there and start prepping up lights and things like that that I may need or may not need, just so we're ready for each shot. And as I walk around and decide where I want to start, again, it all depends on the shoot, but that's for like just an interior shoot. That's kind of how I would start. And then yeah, setting up each shot, we just kind of flow through the day. Yeah.
Yeah. Zeph here wants it like detailed, but that's pretty detailed, yeah. Um, okay, so I have some questions from Joel Hancock, and he's curious about the gear. Could you just maybe elaborate more on how your gear has changed over time and how you've settled on to like what you're using now.
Oh, I haven't even settled on anything. So, I mean, I've had Canon for a long time, since Canon was the first to go full frame. So I kind of, when I think the first 5D camera came out, or it was the D10, I can't even remember. It was the first full frame, so I bought that camera. I was working at the photo rental place that I started working at after college, and so I purchased that camera and I switched from all my Nikon film cameras. And so then after that, I was just Canon all the way. And then I've started to switch all my lenses to just Zeiss prime lenses. I mean, the type of work that I do, I don't need autofocus or zoom lenses usually. So yeah, I got rid of all my Canon lenses except for my tilt shift. And then that's code, are you a gearhead? Oh, I'm reading someone's messages. Sorry. It's hard not messages as they come through. So then now recently, I think I bought a little Fuji camera, and just for like my little travel work, and I was like, wow, I really love the colors and I'm really loving this. So I started to explore the GFX series of Fuji. And then I bought an adapter so I can use my Canon lenses, but now I'm starting to buy Fuji lenses. So I don't know, in my kit right now, I'm Canon and Fuji. Like I literally have two camera systems, and then just depending on what I'm shooting, I kind of go back and forth. Yeah. So I'm still up in the air. I'm always exploring new equipment. So yeah, I hope that kind of explains.
What's the main Canon camera you're using now?
I have 5DS.
Okay. And I have a question. Your most used lens?
The 35 for Canon, it's a Zeiss 35, and then for the Fuji, it's the 45, which is the 35, like equivalent.
Yeah.
More of a mini medium format camera. Yeah.
What's your most used light source other than natural light? This is from Joel Hancock.
Oh, that's true. I mean, what else? I want to play with continuous light, but I haven't done that yet, mainly because it would need so much power. But yeah, I have Pro Photos that I use, the B1X, yeah, those. And sometimes if I need more power, I rent more. I'll get the Broncolor. They have an 800 battery series that I like.
Sweet. Okay, so there's some questions that just got asked here. Okay. So I'm gonna go through some more of the gear. Let me see. Okay, I have one. Do you ever use medium format? Wait, how do I see this? Do you ever use medium format for any shoot or thought about upgrading?
Well, I used the Fuji GFX. That's the only medium format that I have. But if you're talking about like a phase back, I have used those on commercial advertisement shoots. I'll rent them. It's been a while, but I used to do that a lot more in Toronto. Yeah. So I have thought about it and I have used it. So I hope that answers it.
Yeah, exactly. Do you see yourself doing photography forever? Have you thought about teaching or mentoring?
I mean, I mentor, you know, if sometimes I'll take on interns, especially if people are studying photography and they want to learn. A lot of times it's hard though if I'm busy. I'll be honest, it's hard to do a long-term commitment, but if it's a couple weeks, I can usually do that. And teaching, I mean, maybe. I haven't really thought about it too much. Every once in a while, I'm like, is there something else I want to do? You know what I mean? Because it's a physical job, you know, as you know, you're out there long days. There's a lot of heavy equipment. And, you know, my hands are all like callous, you know. Sometimes I think, is there something else that I want to do? And I have yet to find something. I think sometimes get in a rut and you're like, maybe, I want to do something else. But then like very quickly, I'm like, oh no, like this, I'm very lucky to have this job and I really enjoy like what I do.
Hmm. Where do you see yourself in the next few years, and what goals do you have?
Um, it would be amazing if I can work on more books. I always it always feels great when you've been a part of something that you can like hold. So that would be a goal, and maybe trying to find some time to work on more artwork. But I'm sure that's like so many photographers say that. Um, you know, people, especially people that do commercial photography, you know, you would also want to do artwork, but then you're busy with your commercial work and vice versa. So, but those two things would be nice goals. Otherwise, I'm pretty happy what I'm doing now. I'm just having a baby. I'm not like, yeah, I'm just growing my business and trying to meet more clients and get my name out there or in Texas in the US. So.
Hmm. So this is a kind of specific question, but we can broaden it a bit. How is moving to Texas and starting from scratch there? I guess maybe like if other photographers are planning to move to other cities or countries to work, do you have like some advice from what you went through?
Yeah, it's not easy because especially if you're used to having a client base in another city, and unless you're planning to travel back there for those shoots to start, you are starting over. So you just really have to get your work out there, meet with people, start promotions again. And for me, having the agent here really helped because they have
Mm.
connections that they can connect me with people. So.
Yeah. Is there any place or kind of project that you really want to shoot?
Oh my God, there's just so many. I don't know. Excited about really well designed um, hotels and airports and just
Mhm.
I like all different types of design. Like some people are only really into maybe minimal modern stuff, which is great, and I love that. But I don't think I could shoot the same thing all the time. Like I love all design, so maybe I'm shooting for maybe a really southern style designer, and then the next day is someone really modern, and then I'm doing a cannabis store that's super modern, or maybe a farm and with tractors and is very country style. I don't know. I actually just enjoy photography. And my own personal style, yeah, is more modern. And, I really drool over beautiful, minimal, modern spaces. But when it comes to actually like doing the work, I love experiencing and shooting different things in different spaces.
I have a cute question here from Sandy. She asks, "How old is your baby?"
That's my aunt. So I think
Oh, your aunt.
yeah. He is, I think tomorrow he'll be 11 months. He's almost 11 months.
So I think, yeah, a few more minutes left. I'm gonna end it on two questions I really like asking. One is, it could be more general, but it could also be photography related. But how would you say you've grown as a person? And yeah, it could also be photography related.
Okay. I think it would definitely be photography related because my work is just so much part of my life and who I am. And I mean, that could be a good thing or a bad thing. But I guess when I first started, and I think this will be beneficial for anyone if you're just starting out too. Sometimes people will be like, "Oh, your work's really good," and you might say, "Oh no, it's just okay." Even if you think your work is just okay, you just say thank you and say, "Yes, it is good." Show them that you are confident in your work. And so over the years, I've gotten better at that and believing in my work. And even if inside, you're always going to kind of doubt your work sometimes, right? But just like if you express yourself that yes, your work is good. If someone's telling you that your work is good, you agree with them, and just show that confidence, and then that builds up your own confidence, and people just see you in a different light and see your work differently. So I think that's how I've grown a lot, is just having, yeah, I'm rambling, but the confidence.
Oh, I have a quick question here from Robert. He asks, how is the American and Canadian market different?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot, it's a bigger market in the US. For me, at least I found that. When I was in Canada, I was always going to the US a lot anyway. And yeah, that's just mainly, I mean, my rate has been able to climb faster here, to be honest. And I don't know. I guess, yeah, I think it's just a bigger market. There's a lot more people to work with. There's also a lot more photographers, but yeah, I just say the market.
Yeah. I'll just give people like a minute or something to see if they have any more questions. They pay more.
If you more. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of Canadian photographers that they make the equivalent. So it really is, but there's fewer, I think, that make a proper wage, I think. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm just gonna give like a few more seconds otherwise. I'll just last the last one. Okay. Okay. Okay, so the last question that I like to ask for my interviews, I get paid very little, is what do you like to be remembered for?
Oh, I guess what most people say to me, I get a lot of comments, is that that they can recognize my style, that they like how clean it is, like that I have a look, even though I don't know that I'm doing that look, and sometimes I think I'm doing something totally different, but I guess I still have a look, and that's the biggest comment that I get all the time from people when they message me. So yeah, I guess like if I'm known for that, I'm happy with that. I'm happy if people recognize my work, and just people will in the future forget. I mean, we're just photographers, but knowing that our work is still out there and published and in books, and when maybe people reference something, it might not have my name attached to it, but it's something that I created is still there. I think that was kind of always a goal that I've always wanted, to be able to create stuff that will kind of just always be around, well, for as long as images and books and stuff like that are around. So
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. This was awesome. Like, sweet. Is that your mom? Or
yes.
oh, so supportive.
Um,
You have your whole family here, right? Your aunt and your mom.
yeah, there's a
I
couple.
love that.
I mean, they're all in Canada, so we don't get.
Oh. Sweet. This is so much fun. I learned a lot too, and I feel like a lot of people watching this learn a lot. So I just wanted to thank you so much for this.
Thank you, no problem. You made it very easy.
Awesome. Bye.